Coming down here looking at these examples. So we need to be able to, given the equation, list the transformations. Given the transformations, write the equation. So, Mr. Upchurch, on number 1, what is one of the transformations there?
It's going to go left 3.
Left 3. Ooh. Anna, give me another one. Up 8. And Cameron, what's that 2/3 going to do? Okay, it's my slope, and you're right. Whenever we have to list the transformations, how do we identify the A value? So since it's outside the absolute value bar, is it going to affect the X or the Y? The Y. So Y is up and down, so I know it's going to be vertical. Since it's less than 1, 2/3 is less than 1, is it going to vertically compress or vertically stretch? Compress. All right, let's go to the next one. Taryn, what is going to be inside the absolute value bar with the X?
-6. I mean 2.
-2. What's going to be after?
-6.
Awesome. Ben, what is going to be in front of the absolute value bar? Okay, it's going to be, well, it's horizontal, so sorry, I might have thrown you off there. Because it's horizontal, it needs to go on the inside. We'll talk about that. But if it reflects over the x-axis, what's going to be in front right here? Negative. Now, the horizontal stretch of 3, okay, whenever it says that, that's when, and again, that's inside the absolute value bar. It's horizontal. That's left and right. It affects the x. That's whenever everything is opposite of what you would think. And so on this, we put the reciprocal in front, just like that. Okay, again, we won't see that B value a lot. And we talked about that last week, I believe it was. But if it's horizontal, stretch, or compress, you're always going to have the reciprocal of that. Okay. Let's come down here to A and B. So writing the equation and doing the domain and range. Manny, what is going to be inside the absolute value bar there? And all we're doing, we're just putting the vertex into the equation. Kind of think of it that way. So if it, starting at the origin and moving to the vertex, did it go to the right or to the left? How many? Don't think up and down yet, just right or left. 4. Okay. Or just look at that x value right there. And since it went to the right, it's going to be -4. Isabel, what's going to go after that? minus 2. Always make sure that you check the slope on these. Okay, this is going up 1, right 1, and it's opening up. So there's my equation. Yes. Cameron, Carricker, what would the domain be on this one?
Negative infinity, positive.
And what would the range be?
Negative to
There you go. Going to the next one. Cooper, is this going to be positive or negative? The A value. If it's opening down, negative. Zach, does this have a slope other than 1?
less than 1?
Other than 1. So does it go down 1, right 1? Is the graph doing that?
Yeah.
It is?
No, it's not going. No, it's going down like 2.
Down 2. Right 1, correct? Okay. So my slope would be negative 2. Hannah, what would be inside the absolute value bar with the X?
-2.
And outside?
-3.
Okay. Did it go up or down?
Down.
Went right 2, up 3 to my vertex. So plus 3. Eric, what would the domain be?
Negative infinity.
Two. Always? For absolute values? Is it always that for absolute value? Yes. What would the range be?
Positive 3. Positive 3.
Is it going up from 3?
Negative 3.
You're right at positive 3. But is it going from here? Is it going up? Or is it coming from down here and going up to 3?
Positive 3.
There you go. And whenever you write that, flip those. Do negative infinity and then positive 3. All right, got this last little word problem here, and this will be it for the note. So go ahead and graph those points. As you're finishing that up, I'll kind of read what it says. It says the yard lines of football have the relationship shown in the table. So it's measuring the distance from the end zone in reference to the marked yard lines. So the big white numbers on the field. A says to write an absolute value function to find the marked yard line for a given distance from the end zone. So it's asking us to write an equation on that. So first, Neve, what is the vertex for this? 50-50. Maria, is it going to be a positive or negative equation? Negative. Why is it going to be negative? Because it's opening down. What is my slope on this? Somebody tell me that. And this is where you got to be careful. This is kind of, I guess you could call it a trick question on this. Because if you look at the graph, it goes up 2 units and then to the right 1. But make sure that you notice what numbers are on there. Okay, it goes up 10 to the right 10. Okay, so this one would be, your slope would still be 1. Okay, so you don't really have or your A value would be 1. All right, don't always think that, okay, it goes up 2 increments and right 1. Pay attention as to what they are counting by. Okay, so I got that. Zach, what would be inside the absolute value bar with the X? No. From the vertex, did it go to the right? Okay, so I'm going to have 50 in there. If it goes to the right, is that going to be plus or minus 50? Remember, opposite the sign. Okay. Carolina, is it going to be plus 50 or minus 50 at the end? Plus 50. So there's the equation. Next, it says, on B, it says what yard line. So using this equation, what yard line is 195 feet from the end zone? So what would be the first thing I would need to do here? Somebody tell me. What'd you say? Convert to yards. How many feet are in a yard? 3. Somebody tell me what 195 divided by 3 is. 65. So I want to know what yard line is 65 yards from the end zone. Okay. There's a couple ways you could do this. You could use the graph. Okay. One of the 35 yard lines is 65 yards from it. Or I could plug 65 in for X or for Y. Is the marked yard line the X or the Y? The Y value. Okay, so I will put 65 in for Y. Okay, and let's go through solving this. What would be the first thing I would need to do? Or sorry, it did give us distance, huh? I lied. We are going to plug this in for X. We're going to do solving next class. So I'll put 65 in for X. 65 minus 50 is what? 15. Zach, what is the absolute value of 15? What is the absolute value? How far is 15 from 0? 15. The absolute value of 15 is 15. But you still make sure that that negative up front, that's still going to be there once you take the absolute value of 15. So then you would have negative 15 plus 50. And that will also tell you that it is going to be the 35-yard line. And that it is 65 yards or 195 feet from the end zone.